You're listening to KUNT.
June was Pride Month, and I went all month without celebrating and acknowledging the holiday. Today I give my reasons as to why I chose not to celebrate the LGBTQ RSTUV's holiday on the next Toward Intentions, and next is now. Merriam-Webster has 6 definitions for pride. Here are just a few. The quality or state of being proud, such as inordinate self-esteem, conceit, or disdainful behavior or treatment, disdain. Hello everyone, welcome to Toward Intentions. I'm your host, Austin Fox. Other definitions include ostentatious display, a company of lions, and a showy group. None of these definitions are very flattering. Although with all the new gender identifiers, showy group does seem to fit the bill. Don't get me wrong, I am in no way a homophobe. I am not homophobic. What I am is a gay male tired of labels. I feel that every time we celebrate a particular group, it continues to separate us as a whole. It lets other nations know that we don't even see ourselves as one. It is important to teach our youths the struggles it took us to get where we are today. And by us, I mean us as a whole, as a nation. Yes, the country was founded on the idea of freedom. Well, it wasn't found or founded. It was stolen. How can something be found when somebody already lives there? That's like me walking out onto my balcony and finding my neighbor has a car and I start driving it without his permission. Or how about that one time my brother shimmied up a telephone pole and found cable? Just doesn't work. We stole the land, and you were only free if you were a white male. Women and blacks had no say-so whatsoever. It took a president from the 1800s to free the blacks and give them rights, and women couldn't even vote until the 1900s. That's almost 250 years after the birth of our nation. In the South, it was illegal for blacks to marry whites. They had to use separate everything. And yes, gay people do deserve the acknowledgement for their struggles, but not every group deserves a parade. I can remember when I was in high school, I was constantly in trouble for being different. What I was a path maker. But do I need the acknowledgement from the school for showing that tolerance doesn't have to hurt? I was considered an outcast, a black sheep. Didn't bother me then, still doesn't bother me now. I was the first male cheerleader at my high school. But the boy after me, after I graduated, got the recognition. Same-sex couples weren't allowed to do prom, not until after I graduated and protested my own. I was constantly being sent home for being out of dress code because I would mix my outfits, mixing as in boy tops, girl bottoms, and vice versa. I remember wearing a t-shirt that said safe sex is hot sex and getting suspended for it. A meeting was made and my mom was involved for my quote-unquote unruly behavior. She was told that teenagers and sex do not exist in these school walls. Meanwhile, my friend Ruby, a sophomore, was in her 8th month of pregnancy from her 32-year-old husband. Sex education was banned from the curriculum and because it gave the impression that it was all right for kids to have sex, and condoms were the green light. So condom dispensers were removed from the restrooms. That t-shirt was and still is the catalyst to this podcast. Playing ostrich is no way to line our children with the education that is needed for them to make the right decisions. I've said this before and I'll keep saying it. In a perfect world, people would wait for marriage to have sex. But the world isn't perfect and sex is happening at an earlier age than normal. Nowadays, there is something far worse than a leaky dick that these young people can catch. They can also catch KIDS and AIDS. Sex education has the potential to teach tolerance and acceptance of anyone different. And as far as gay marriage not being a traditional marriage, let's take a look at what the Bible says is traditional. King David had 18 wives, and Solomon, a man known for making all the right decisions, had 700 wives, not including the 300 concubines he kept on the side. I would call that traditionally greedy. What we consider traditional was not very traditional until the 16th century. The church, the clergy, the witnesses, and the I do's weren't needed back in the day for a traditional marriage to happen. What was needed was the agreement upon two people to be married. Word of mouth. To imply that marriage is between one man and one woman is still also false, because 0.5% of the population is intersex, and they have no problems getting married. That particular group would get married, and nothing would happen to the morals of the religious circles, then and now. A traditional marriage is making a private, daily, lifelong commitment. With that in mind, gay marriage has been here for as long as human beings have been able to pledge themselves to one another. So to keep saying it is wrong and unholy, I would tell you, go back and read up on King David and Solomon and explain that to me like I'm a 5-year-old. You want me to acknowledge June as Gay Pride Month? That will only happen when I am not seen as a fag or a queer. I don't understand how we can celebrate something we were born with. I was born gay, just as I was born half Hispanic and half German. Where is that particular parade for the zebra in me? Being gay does not define me as a man. My accomplishments define me as a man. I just so happen to be gay. So, to be kept up to date on this or any previous show, please log on to www.theaustinfox.com and find the link to Toward Intentions and subscribe. And while you're there, feel free to look around and see some of the projects I'm working on. One I am particularly excited for is the release of my CD. I've already written and recorded 4 tracks and hoping to be completed before Christmas. I will leave you with this final thought. To be one, to be united is a great thing, but to respect the right to be different is maybe even greater. Till next time, Austin Fox saying, whatever your intention, make sure they're toward intentions. So long, everybody.